Hello everyone, welcome back for another lesson about circuits. In this lesson, we will focus on power and energy. So what is power? Power, first of all, is represented by the letter P. Obviously, P for power, it makes sense. So it is the amount of work an electrical device can perform per second. In other words, it's the energy given up by electrons when you power these devices. And that energy is then used to obviously power and do some work, right? So the device is performing a certain task. This is measured in watts, so the unit is W. So power is the amount of energy given up by the electrons over a certain amount of time. So P is equal to E over T. If we look at the corresponding units, we have 1 watt is equal to 1 joule, which is the unit for energy, and the time is again in seconds. We can also use the following equation. So power can also be calculated if we multiply voltage and current. So the units in this case would be still watts for power, but it would be equal to 1 volt times 1 amp, or voltage times amperage. So 1 watt is equal to 1 volt times 1 amp. So let's see if we apply this to the following problem, how we can go about it. So if a 1,000 watt microwave oven operates for 6 minutes, let me just grab a pen, what amount of energy will it use? Okay, so give the answer in joules. Obviously, we're looking for energy. It makes sense that it would be in joules. So we're looking for energy. So energy in this case would be equal to power times time if I reorganize my equation. So that means 1,000 watts times the time, which is 6 minutes, but the time has to be in seconds. So 6 times 60 seconds. And that will give me the energy. So this gives me 360,000 joules. If we take a look at another example, so in this case, we will be using the other equation. But let's read first. If a house is wired to receive 120 volts of potential difference, what current would be required to use this microwave? Okay, so this is a follow-up question. So we know that power is equal to voltage times current. Okay, so we're looking for current. So current will be equal to P over V. So that means I will be equal to 1,000 watts divided by the voltage, which is 120 volts, and that will give me a current of 8.3 amps. Okay, so we can use both equations depending on the context when we deal with power. So that's for power. Now let's talk about energy. So electrical energy is power times time. So I showed you before how we can reorganize the equation, right, to get that. So originally we said P is equal to E over T. So if we reorganize, we send T over, we get E is equal to P times T. So this is the same as before, nothing has changed. So we have joules are equal to watts times seconds. Now, when we deal with electrical companies, because we consume a lot of energy, actually they work with different units. So they will work in Quebec, for example, with kilowatt hours. So that means the unit for power is not watts anymore, it's kilowatts, so 1,000 times more. And we don't use seconds, we use hours. Now, what is the distinction, or what is the relationship between the two? If I want to go back and forth between these two, essentially the ratio is 1 kilowatt hour is equivalent to 3,600,000 joules. Okay, so that's the relationship between the two if we need to convert. So let's take a look at a question. If a 1,000 watt microwave, so same question, operates for 6 minutes, what amount of energy will it use in kilowatt hour? So my power is 1,000 watts. So first of all, I want energy, right? So energy is equal to P times T. So I need my power to be in kilowatts. So this has to be converted to kilowatts. How do I go from watts to kilowatts? I divide by 1,000. So I'll have 1 kilowatt times, now I need the time in hours. So I have 6 minutes And in order to get hours, I have to divide this by the number of minutes in 1 hour, right? Oops. So this will be the equivalent of the time in hours. So if I multiply 1 kilowatt by this conversion, which gives me hours, I will get 0.1 kilowatt hour. Okay, so that's the amount of energy in kilowatt hours that I am using while I'm using this microwave for 6 minutes. Okay, next we have, what is the electricity cost? So the electricity cost, so the amount of dollars we're going to pay for this, is the amount of energy consumed in kilowatt hour times the rate, whatever the company is charging us, how many dollars per kilowatt hour that we use. So here, let's say the price of electricity is $0.067, so 6.7 cents, in other words, per kilowatt hour. What is the cost of using this microwave? So I used the microwave for 0.1 kilowatt hour. Okay, so that's the amount of energy that it consumed based on the time. And the cost per kilowatt hour is $0.067 for every kilowatt hour that I use. So what is the price? Well, obviously I just multiply and I will get the cost, which is $0.0067. So it doesn't cost me very much to use this microwave for 6 minutes. But over a whole year, with everything that we use, it takes obviously a few more dollars to power all our devices. All right, so that's it for this lesson. If you have questions, you know where to reach me. Otherwise, I'll see you around for your next lesson. And until then, take care.